Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the next evolution of digital wellness with TELUS Health Virtual Care webinar. My name is Melissa Wharton, and I'm a marketing specialist at TELUS Health. Today, I also have the pleasure of being your moderator for the presentation. So without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce today's first speaker, Danielle Martz. Danielle Martz is Vice President at TELUS Health and President of TELUS Health Virtual Care. He will begin today's session by discussing new innovations in the field of virtual health. Danielle, please go ahead.
Thank you so much for the kind intro, Melissa, and welcome everyone to this session today where we'll spend the next 45 minutes on giving you an introduction to TELUS Health Virtual Care and our vision and strategy built on over 35 years of experience in healthcare delivery, providing our perspectives on the impact of COVID on the working population, really asking ourselves after going through so much in the last year, how are Canadian employees feeling and how have their expectations shifted through the pandemic, and offering expert industry insight on this new reality through a candid panel discussion with thought leaders, Joe Whitney from Manulife and Mona Sabai from the Canderel Group. Finally, we'll discuss the future of virtual care and how TELUS Health is evolving to offer Canadians the care they need with our esteemed colleague Patricia Gagnon, a director at TELUS Health Virtual Care, and we'll conclude with a Q&A at the end. To start, what is TELUS Health Virtual Care and what are we all about? We're a proud Canadian-built leader in the virtual care field with over 2.8 million covered lives, with a mission to help Canadians and all global citizens live their healthiest life. As part of the TELUS Health family, which has invested over $3.2 billion over the past 10 years to revolutionize access to healthcare and bring care directly to Canadians, we're bringing essential virtual and digital healthcare capabilities to the industry, which has been catapulted to the forefront during the COVID pandemic. The key elements that bring our mission to life are fourfold. First, we take a human-first approach to care in every interaction with patients. We deliver care with empathy and compassion and the human touch at every step of the virtual care journey. We take a long-term view, building sustainable models of care across the continuum from prevention to chronic care and disability management by leveraging our decades of experience in the industry. We're part of the broader TELUS Health ecosystem, enabling us to extend and personalize further patient journeys through unique and proprietary integrations with TELUS EMRs, connecting us to over 30,000 providers, 15 care clinics to improve access to in-person and specialist care, our home health monitoring capabilities to power our chronic disease management services, and our virtual pharmacy capabilities, to name a few. And we truly are an integrated platform for health and wellness, providing one place and one door in to access primary care, mental health, virtual employee assistance, disability management support services, and chronic care. Now, I thought we could take a few steps back and ask ourselves, how are employees feeling and what do they value during these unprecedented times as over 3 million Canadians have been working from home for over a year, which means employees are trying to remain productive despite general feelings of uncertainty, sharing their workspace with family members, caring for their children, and worrying about the future. With the office only a few steps away at all times, it's hard to draw the line between one's personal life and work life. KPMG Canada reported that 49% of employees are working more than they did pre-pandemic, leaving 31% of these employees on the verge of burnout. It's pretty clear that Canadians are facing a mental health crisis. Already, it's estimated that 60% of Canadians are currently experiencing mental health issues. And alarmingly, many of those employees will unfortunately not seek help. It can be very hard to detect an invisible illness. It is inherently difficult in identifying poor mental health in those that you work with, especially when you're interacting with someone through a screen. With all that being said, it's plain to see employees are struggling and they really need help. I think we all have a sense of how we got here. Now the question becomes, what lies ahead and where do we go from here? First, it's important to realize that the wave we're currently in and is beginning to show signs of settling down is really just the beginning of the reverberating effects to come. Now, for us at TELUS Health, the project becomes one of conceptualizing and delivering on the other elements of value we can add to each individual's life and how we can continue to support each individual through the upcoming waves of the pandemic and the deeper health and personal challenges that lie ahead. Challenges such as the second pandemic of mental health, which will explode through the fourth wave, chronic disease management, which can be enabled by the emerging market of medical grade sensors that are making their way into consumer devices like our mobile phones, and through platforms like our home health monitoring technologies, and work life and critical incidents, which we address through our virtual employee assistance program, Life Journey, and the basics of prevention around general wellness and fitness. Having the platform in millions of patients' hands enables us to plant the seeds of TELUS Health's broader ecosystem strategy, guiding the individualization of each patient's experience at scale right from the palm of their hands, and helping to connect employees to the care they need at every step during the bumpy road ahead. But before jumping to the deep dive solutions, let's have a look at what employees are expecting and what they value, which has changed quite a bit in the past year, rightfully so. Employees are expressing that they need a balance between work and their personal life, something that 45% of Canadians feel they don't have, but once did in a pre-pandemic world. They want emphasis on health plans and paid time off, and they're interested in having access to virtual consultations. These are important insights to help employers make the right decisions on the new context in which their employees find themselves and how they feel they can make it better. What we've been working on day in and day out at TELUS Health Virtual Care is the project of addressing this new reality, actively tailoring our services and supporting human-centric technology to incorporate patient and plan sponsor feedback to deliver the experiences they need today and for the road ahead. This means our TELUS Health Virtual Care platform is designed to span the services spectrum from prevention and wellness to health resolution, mental health, and disability and chronic disease management support services. From a service standpoint, this means we're powered by a large and growing direct doctor and nurse practitioner network supported by the 30,000 providers connected through TELUS EMRs and our in-clinic specialists. We also offer a full stack experience from text to voice to video, having the ability to tailor the modality and interaction type to patient preferences and optimize the experience to leverage the right modality for the appropriate issue. In addition, we offer the ability for our clients and partners to customize referral pathways for their employee patients to resources that they may have already invested in, such as a pre-existing wellness platform or EAP service, to increase utilization and return on investment and overall health and wellness of their employees. All of this is supported by our unending commitment to treating each patient as an individual, amplifying the human touch with technology, and accompanying the patient on their journey with the help of a care manager every step of the way. And through this journey and all the connections it may produce, a longitudinal health record of all interactions with the platform are tracked to enable continuity of care. From a mental health point of view, we commit to being available whenever you need it, even in the middle of the night, through face-to-face therapy, digital cognitive behavioral therapy, a program called Bridge to Psychiatry, which connects our team of doctors and nurse practitioners to a live psychiatrist for advice and counsel on the more complex mental health cases, and Life Journey, our virtual employee assistance program that is designed to support today's employee, providing an all-encompassing user experience with a single point of contact for all of your health, wellness, and work-life needs. All of this is available with the backdrop that patients, sponsors, and the market in general are more accustomed to virtual care as the door into their health experience. In that context, virtual care adoption has skyrocketed. The percent of utilization more than doubled in the first few months of the pandemic, indicating that there was a veritable need for virtual care services. And our virtual care services will not only continue to support employees now, but will provide a sustainable safety net for whatever the future may bring. In that vein, we're very proud to say that the TELUS Health Virtual Care team was there for Canadian organizations when they needed it most, maintaining a steady 4.8 rating while quadrupling our national clinical team, and in the thick of COVID, adapting our mental health care offering in order to respond to the rise in mental health issues, experiencing an increase in almost 500% in mental health therapy sessions. As we set our sights on a world beyond the pandemic, we'll continue to provide access to quality care for employees and their families, helping to resolve any medical issues quicker without the need for an in-person visit at the clinic. To conclude today's introduction, I'd like to leave you with the note that we're investing deeply in our evolution in TELUS Health overall by continually expanding and deepening the skill basis of our vast network of healthcare and paramedical providers, propelling the healthcare system into the 21st century by connecting patients directly to their data, making it easier than ever for them to take control of their health and even share this information with their family doctor should they request it, and continuing to place the patient at the center of their health experience, empowering them to make informed choices and have the resources they need at their fingertips, anytime, anywhere. And in closing, a few key takeaways for us to ponder and action. First, thinking of COVID as a blessing and a catalyst as much as possible to improve the way we provide care and improve well-being, evolving solutions to meet the needs of the new world with this positive lens, and thinking about how virtual care models can really be that door into the experiences of the future that are being innovated and provided all around us and within TELUS Health Virtual Care. Thank you all so much for your time, and I'll now pass it off to Andrea, who will lead our panel conversation with Joe and Mona. Over to you, Andrea.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here with you today. As Daniel said, my name is Andrea Keene. I'm a People and Culture Business Partner with the TELUS Health Virtual Care team. Very pleased and privileged to be able to introduce our panel this afternoon. So first we have Mona Sibai, who is a coordinator of talent, culture, and innovation with Canberell. She has over 5 years of experience in human resources management with a strong focus on onboarding, organization culture, performance management, and training and development. Mona holds a graduate diploma in HR management and is a member of the Order of HR Professionals. We also have Joe Whitney. Joe is a product manager with Manulife. He's responsible for healthcare online services. Joe has 20 years of experience across public and private health sectors with a particular focus in digital health. From 2004 to 2011, Joe was an executive with a pioneering digital health and coaching startup. He oversaw marketing, privacy, and medical device licensing. Prior to joining Manulife, he consulted with numerous health technology biotech companies. Joe has also worked with GlaxoSmithKline Canada, the Workplace Safety Insurance Board, and the Ontario government's Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care and Management Board of Cabinet. He holds a master's in arts and a master of business administration. So very nice to have you both here today. Thank you for your time. Let's get our discussion started. As we all know, COVID has had a very large impact on our work environments. Would love to hear from you both. How did you, as well as those around you, adjust, and what were some of the positive and negative impacts that you observed in the workplace? Joe, let's start with you.
Great, thank you very much for having me. On a personal level, it didn't impact me that much because I was working remotely most of the time anyway. But when I look at my colleagues and across Manulife as a whole, it's a large organization with a diversity of operations. And it was quite a challenge to have everybody pivot and move to home, especially when you think of our call center activities. but we managed to do it very quickly. But enabling people to work from home is one thing. The other significant effort that I saw out of Manulife was really focusing on maintaining our culture and focusing on the health and wellness of employees. So there was the introduction of new programs, new ways of interacting with each other, with being engaged with each other, so that to the extent possible, we could maintain mental health, we could maintain people's engagement in their work and their productivity. And a lot of that had to be done with new virtual tools. It's worked out well for us. Our CEO, Roy Gorey, has been in the news recently talking about how this has been tremendously effective. We're not in a huge hurry to get people back to work, and we'll just continue making those investments in enabling people the way we have been through the pandemic.
Good, that's great, Joe. Thank you. Mona, what about you?
Well, unlike Joe, I had never worked from home before, so it was a big change for me, even for the company in general. I mean, at Canderel, remote work was not part of the culture. A few people maybe had some arrangements, but to bring everyone home and to make sure they're all equipped with what they need to perform and to stay connected, that was a challenge, especially that it all happened in a blink of an eye. Like, we were not preparing, it was not a project that people were working on. We just, okay, you have to go home. So I think it's also important to mention the effort that IT has pulled in our company, and I'm sure in other companies as well, just to make sure that everyone had what they need. I remember on the last day, everyone was taking their full setups, the 2 monitors to make sure they're connected. So it was a big shift. And like Joe was saying, it was important to keep in mind that the culture had to stay alive and make sure everyone still felt connected to the team, that they were able to collaborate. So that was challenging for sure. And we did do a few things to help our employees stay connected and productive.
Absolutely. I agree. It has definitely been a true test to adaptability across the organization, definitely. And we'll touch upon some of those ways that we've all stayed connected and maintained that engagement throughout this time. Thank you, Mona. Joe, for you, how would you say, what would be your interpretation or your opinion of how organizations' expectations are changing as a result of COVID or through this time?
The big change that I saw at the beginning of the pandemic was a change in needs for the organizations that we serve. And it was to help their employees remain healthy and productive. 2 of the things that they were facing was a lack of access to care or losing access to care, and the rise of mental health. So at the outset of the pandemic, we saw across the country that access to primary care really constricted, with the shutting down of clinics that weren't ready to do virtual care, with people having hesitancy to go into physical locations because of the presence and risk of the virus. And virtual primary care was the right answer at the right time, enabling people to continue to get care during work hours, to stay productive, to stay healthy to the extent possible. And it really was the ideal solution. We now see a greater acceptance of virtual care, both in terms of what members want and are comfortable using, and also what sponsors are looking for now. And so we're expanding what we do with virtual care. We're looking at paramedical services. We recently launched MSK 360, which is for physiotherapy. But the other thing that I would call out is the expectation around support for mental health. Before the pandemic, mental health was 8th or 9th across our block on the reasons for consults. And through the pandemic, that has slowly moved up to number 3 for some of our organizations. It's number 1. And so it's been important for Manulife to obviously provide healthcare online to those groups that could add it. But we also wanted to make sure that all of our clients had support for mental health, including free resources such as Stronger Minds by Beacon. But as we see traditional mental health services needed time to pivot from in-person to virtual, HCO or Healthcare Online, sorry, HCO is an acronym we use for Healthcare Online, became the ideal answer because it addressed both of those issues, access to care and the rising mental health needs.
Absolutely good. Thank you very much. Mona, working in human resources, we can definitely share that it's been a lot of pressure for us as HR professionals, as HR leaders in the organizations. What tools or resources did you find helpful during this time? And what resources do you wish that you had had?
Well, for sure. I mean, the pressure came that like people were always reaching out, they were uncertain, we needed to reassure them. So having tools, like, for example, we did implement an HIS system during the pandemic, and that relieved a lot of the pressure because you can automate so many things and then you have time to focus on the people, be there for them and provide more answers. So that was a relief, honestly, even though it was a heavy lift, but it was good to have it. And also because mental health became so important, having access and providing access to our employees to tools that can help them with that and offer the support they need was really a relief as well. Being able to enroll all of our employees in it and expand the enrollment. It was limited in the beginning, but when it became so important, we couldn't just stay and not do anything. So it was really important to see those digital tools and how they can help us support our employees in a time of need like this.
I definitely agree. I myself have also observed many more than normal employees, team members reaching out to me for support as well. So it's great that we have these tools. Question for both of you. What are some of the examples of these changes and these technologies that have come into place that you hope will outlast the pandemic? Joe, would you mind starting?
Sure, I think we've seen a number of organizations adapt the way they do business to enable employees to work remotely, transition to hybrid models. And I really do hope to see that continue because I think it's essential to the continued health and wellness of their employees. People are suffering right now. They're sort of on the edge of perhaps going into short-term disability or in transition to long-term disability with some of the mental health issues that they're dealing with because of the pandemic. Forcing people to come back to work just because you can may not be the right answer. So I do hope that organizations will consider the impact of return to work, how to do that in a way that really preserves the current mental health and wellness of their employees and helps to avoid that fourth wave that Daniel was talking about, or at least mitigate the impact of the fourth wave. The other thing is that virtual care is now ingrained as part of the benefits plan. More and more organizations are adopting it and seeing it as perhaps a cornerstone to other services that can be accessed by the member. And I think employees who have experienced it are going to expect it. Just like when they got used to online banking, now it's online health. It's not the answer for everything. We have to be very clear about that. But for a lot of instances, it's really convenient and it helps people stay productive, not only at work, but in their regular life as well. So I hope to continue to get those emails that I do from my colleagues saying this is the best benefit I've ever had. Thank you for adding it.
For sure, that's great. Mona, what about you? What do you hope will outlast the pandemic?
I hope that remote work will still be part of how we work and how we function. I think moving forward, having hybrid models in companies will be a competitive edge that employers, need to have, because as we saw, employees, they've tasted what it's like to work from home 5 days a week for over a year now, and it's given them more flexibility. They were able to adapt even like their productivity cycles. Like if I'm someone who's more productive in the evening, well, I'm probably going to work a little bit longer, but if I'm in the office, I need to rush to go back home and all of that. So just giving that flexibility, I think it's important for it to stay. And also managers who were skeptical of remote work have now been like they've seen that it works, and so that's why I think it should stay. And also just making sure we're always leveraging our digital tools, whether it's for communication or staying in touch. It's important that it stays even after the pandemic, I believe.
Oh, absolutely. That's great. And maybe Mona, a little bit further on to that question. In your experience, what does it take to make digital health tools successful in the workplace?
First of all, communicating it properly to the employees, making sure they know what to expect, and having an easy implementation. Like the fact that the tool that we use from TELUS Healthcare, the fact that it uses our employees' email address and it's not a new username. They just have to download an app and register. That makes it so much easier for them as well. And I mean, just making sure that it's properly communicated so that they know that they have access to this and they can use it. And that's the key in my opinion.
Good, great. Joe, what has been on successfully implementing it in the workplace?
Sure. When I look at our experience over the past almost 2 years now, and especially through the pandemic, the key things that I would recommend to a sponsor and to the advisor, broker, consultant community that supports them is that these are still relatively new tools. So it is important to promote, and keep promoting. It's not enough to just launch it and walk away and say that's done. You need to do reminder campaigns because you're catching people at different parts of perhaps a health journey. When you launched it, maybe they weren't sick, maybe they don't think they need it right then, so they're not going to do it. They're not going to register. But 3 months from now, they might need it. So it's always good to do reminder campaigns. You can build it around mental health. Maybe it's flu in the fall. Just think about the ways that you can incorporate it into your corporate wellness communications plans. The other thing that I would focus on is making sure that people understand that this provides mental health support and that it's substantive mental health support. People traditionally think of, well, I'm going to have to go to bricks and mortar paramedical or EAP, but they need to understand that TELUS Health Virtual Care, Healthcare Online, it provides significant mental health support. The final thing that, actually second last thing I'd point out, is that it's really important that members understand that this service does not replace their regular physician. And one of the things that we were looking for that was really important to me and the Manulife search team was that we wanted a partner that had a view of integrating with the public healthcare system, because it's our belief that you really have to have coordinated care to get the best outcomes. And so when we were meeting with Akira and they were talking about integrating with the TELUS EMR that's used by 30,000 physicians across Canada, that ticked a huge box for us. And that reinforces the message that both of our organizations want members to have their circle of care involved in this service as well, so that everybody's informed about who's doing what and really coordinating around that patient for the best outcome. And then the final thing, and this is more of a future view, but the future is moving quickly, coming to us very quickly as we look out in the market, is a way to tie programs together so that it's not just virtual primary care, but that it might be an access point or a referral point to other benefits that would be helpful in solving that issue that the member is living and dealing with. So whether that's a referral to some other mental health support or a physio program, whatever the case may be, but that there's this tie-in with the other benefits that are offered. So you've got seamless journeys. We're starting to see that come up now, and we're pretty excited about it. But that's really what the future brings, and that's the message that needs to be brought to organizations and members.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, that's great, and it's great to see the suite of products, and I feel personally like we're just scratching the surface right now as it relates to all of the potential, products and support that are going to be available. Good, thank you. Mona, back to you. At the beginning, you touched a little bit upon the importance of kind of maintaining, engagement and culture initiatives. Tell me a little bit about what are, some of the initiatives that you did within your workplace, really just to make sure the engagement was there, that the culture was being maintained, as challenging as it is in a remote world. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we did a few things actually. I'm pretty sure a lot of people did it too. We did workout sessions led by employees for employees. So it's not like we had to go and look outside of our company. We had people that wanted to volunteer their time and work out with their peers, which was great. We did cooking lessons. We did language lessons. We launched a book club. We did art contests. So we tried to touch on different interests to make sure we reach as much as possible of our employees and make sure everyone had a little something to stay connected together. We launched, we did happy hour, we did cultural boot camps, virtual boot camps, obviously. And I think our employees really appreciated it. And we did some surveys also just to make sure we were doing the right thing and that it was actually having a good impact. So the feedback was great and people want to see their employers do that. They want to feel that they're not forgotten. They're not just people that are working. They're more than just employees. They're people that we care about and we have to make sure we stay connected, just like we did when we were in the office.
Absolutely. Good. Well, sounds like you guys maintained a lot of that engagement and were able to have some fun. Thank you very much, Mona. Joe, question for you. What do you think are some identifiable barriers in adopting virtual care offerings by employers?
The barrier question has changed over the last 12 months. Prior to the pandemic, the two most common ones that we would see would be the novelty of virtual care. Not many people knew what it was about. You certainly had some organizations that had, say, distributed workforces or where they were in areas where access to care was challenged and they understood what it could do for them. But broadly speaking, it was, you often got the questions of what is this and how's it going to help me? The other thing that's related to that is that a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, the cost was much higher than it is now. I think we're seeing very competitive pricing in the marketplace, and virtual care is offering tremendous value for sponsors, and we'll continue to see that going forward. The remaining barrier that I think can be overcome is how is this going to integrate with public health care? A number of sponsors have asked, well, what happens when the government introduces or maintains virtual billing codes? I won't need this anymore. And I think it'll be very important for sponsors to understand that no matter what the government does, and it will be helpful, make no mistake, to see that transition to hybrid models, it won't be what you can get through a benefits plan. It won't be 24/7 necessarily. It may not have the breadth of service that would really be beneficial to all employees. So there's a big question mark that hangs out there about what that means. And I think it'll be important for TELUS, for Manulife, really for all of us in the industry to be on top of how that's going to evolve and continue to evolve these products in a way that is really complementary to anything that may happen in the public health sector. But make no mistake, there will be a role for both going forward. And we just need to really look at how do we integrate those two experiences to get the best health outcomes.
Good, absolutely, thank you. And then on that note of employee benefits, and when talking about employee benefits, what are some of the concerns that are raised by employees in your case, Mona, and employers in your case, Joe, and how do you respond to those concerns? Joe, if you want to start on that one.
Generally speaking, employers are concerned about keeping employees productive at work. I've been encouraged by some of the investments that we've seen in wellness programs to support employees and their mental health. But mental health really is far and away number one. That's what I hear about the most. What can Healthcare Online do for mental health? And so I go through the full list of the significant services available through Healthcare Online, which can include frequent conversations with a nurse practitioner who will spend 30, 40, 50 minutes with someone. It's not just a referral service to some other service. They will actually provide first-line counseling. And I think that's critical for employers and employees to understand that that kind of help is available. There's the in-house Bridge to Psychiatry program to support the nurse practitioners on complex cases. It's just really a robust service that addresses the recurring theme, main theme that I hear from employers and from our account executives in terms of what they're hearing. The other one that is on the radar is chronic disease management. I'll be perfectly blunt because that's where I came from before this. That there isn't a great set of services in the marketplace yet to address chronic disease management. But I think with the rise in digital health, especially as it combines with human care, and that is important. Technology can't do it alone, and I think that needs to be stressed. That was certainly my experience in years past, that we're going to see a lot more activity in that area. Employers are looking for help. Chronic disease is a huge driver on plan costs, and we need better solutions in the marketplace, and I think we'll see that in the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Great insights. Thank you. Mona, what do you think? What are you hearing from employees?
Well, for sure, mental health is a great concern, and I make sure that they have access to professionals or tools that are going to help them with that. But also, a really important thing that I find is that employee needs are different, and every person looks for something different when it comes to benefits. So staying mindful of that, those differences and those nuances that we find, and offering something that's flexible, offering something that has something for everyone, I think it is really important. And it's what we did just recently, to be honest, when we changed our group insurance providers as part of our benefits. And we went from a one-size-fits-all to a 3-option plan. And employees loved it because they could pick and choose where they wanted to invest depending on their needs. And I think it's really important to stay flexible and give them what they really need.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Thanks to both of you. That concludes our panel this afternoon. Really appreciate the insights and knowledge sharing from both of you. So thank you very much. I will now pass it on to my colleague, Patricia Gagnon. She will speak on the evolution of TELUS Health Virtual Care and how it is evolving to meet organization and employee needs. Over to you, Patricia.
Thank you, Andrea, and a warm thank you to you, Mona and Joe, for sharing your reality so candidly. So my name is Patricia Gagnon, and I'm Director, Strategy and Operations at TELUS. And I feel very privileged to be part of these important discussions, which highlight the value and importance of providing support and creating a culture of psychological and physical safety in the workplace. As a leader in the industry, I believe it is our responsibility to equip you with products and programs to help support your employees. As Mona mentioned, although time spent not having to commute was a positive of working from home, finding boundaries and being isolated became problematic for others, drastically impacting their mental health and well-being during an already difficult time. So today, more than ever, employers have the responsibility to support their employees' well-being and mitigate the negative effects of the pandemic in the long run. Mona and Joe highlighted the incredible value of providing access to virtual care and the fact that COVID accelerated the awareness and adoption, influencing employers to add the services to their health benefits. But virtual care provides support to patients when they need immediate care, when they're already ill. Wouldn't you agree that we all need to join forces in moving the needle towards preventative care? Helping employees to stay healthy and not get ill? Wouldn't you agree that we need to think differently? We at TELUS believe that we have the responsibility to help you just do that by delivering innovative solutions that support the well-being of Canadians everywhere. Every day, we think ahead to continue developing our products and programs to provide solutions that are even more convenient, more accessible, relevant, and adapted to your client and patient's needs. It is in our DNA. Well, people that know me would certainly know that it is, or they would certainly say that it's certainly in my DNA to seek to implement the latest technology to produce better outcomes and get patients back to being healthy, easier and faster. Ultimately, we have a passion and duty to help you move the needle towards preventive care. Pushing the boundaries to ingenious is what we do best. So we launched virtual care when nobody knew what it was, and we are breaking new grounds again by evolving it into what will be a game changer in the EAP space, our life journey solution, extending our suite of products. Although we believe in technology, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, we have actually made a conscious decision to always keep the human at the center of any product we developed, adding the tools and technology in the hands of our staff rather than being a barrier or a limitation to access to care. And I really think this is what makes us unique. So you will see in the next slide, again, it is no surprise that supporting mental wellness is already a challenge, and we will feel the aftermath effects for a while, which will certainly be costly for employers. So not only the rising demand for mental health, there's a rising demand for mental health services. There's going to be an increased cost of benefits, well, given by the rising demand, and a loss of time due to presenteeism and absenteeism are only some of the effects that we can anticipate. Life Journey will certainly help in addressing some of these challenges, but considering the shortage of resources, we needed to, again, think differently and find creative solutions adapted to this new context and the reality of individuals seeking help. This is why we focused our efforts on our digital CBT solution. So CBT standing for Cognitive Behavioral Therapy Solution, which allows patients to access help when they need it the most, at a time and a place that is certainly convenient for them. With the ability to help individuals overcome multiple conditions and comorbidities such as anxiety, depression, addiction, PTSD, digital CBT is a convenient, effective, and scalable solution, allowing patients to progress at their own pace with the help of a dedicated clinician throughout the journey. And yes, COVID has accelerated the adoption of digital CBT, but given our discussion today, hearing Mona and Joe, more than ever, I feel that we're on the right path and we have the right mindset to help organizations better support their employees. So I thank you all for being with us today, and we will now open it up for questions.
Thank you so much, Patricia. So I'm sure there must be a lot of questions from our audience. So let's get right to our Q&A session. Our first question would be, what mental health solutions can TELUS Health Virtual Care provide? Can you provide an example on how these solutions have actually helped?
I can probably take that one, Melissa.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for asking. I mean, one of the best examples that is quite concrete is our partnership with the CEUS at the Centre-Ouest de l'Île de Montréal. So the mandate that we received from the JGH and the CEUS was to help with the wait list. So in an effort to support the community, and again, the growing wait list for mental health support, and we all agree that, or it's very understandable that the resources are extremely strained due to the rise in mental health requests. We are now providing immediate support to individuals on the wait list by providing assessment, care coordination, and even care via face-to-face therapy, digital CBT, or a hybrid of all of these solutions.
Thank you, Patricia. We do have another question. I have a family physician. Wouldn't this disrupt the care I receive from them? So I think perhaps Danielle could take this one.
So thanks for that question. It's very insightful. I think that the direct answer is absolutely not. It would not disrupt. In fact, it would enable. And one of the things that we do by principle in this human-centric approach that we described throughout is we maintain or we ask for the consent to communicate with the patient's family doctor, and the vast majority of the time the patient gives us that consent. And so what we're able to do is share the information from the interaction with our service and platform with the patient's family doctor in order to maintain continuity of that patient's care. So that's kind of a cornerstone principle to our approach. And in addition to that, through our integration with TELUS EMRs, the 30,000 providers, we can communicate the notes from the visit through an integration. So securely transfer that information through that secure integration, which is a seamless way to enable that continuity of care. So in everything that we're doing from an innovation standpoint, we're thinking about that particular issue. How do we create that environment virtually for continuity of care, and how do we create those enabling technologies and the links between them to securely connect the dots, so that we can really be an enabler for the system. In some of the kind of the key issues that Joe raised during the panel discussion around connecting the dots with public care, that's a lot of what we're focused on in the background to make sure that all these experiences are seamless.
Daniel, if I could just jump in quickly, I want to reiterate again that as sponsors think about launching a program, virtual care program, that any communication with the employees tackles that question up front and lets the employees know that this is meant to complement, that they'd be encouraged to consent to provide the notes to their family practitioner so that everybody's on the same page. So highlighted in the communications.
Thank you very much. So we do have other questions from the Q&A. Following one is, what are the innovations that you foresee in virtual care industry? Perhaps Patricia Gagnon?
I can certainly take that one. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a great question, and it's a very stimulating topic for me as I'm actually handling innovation as well. One of the biggest opportunity that we have, well, at least at TELUS in the short term, will be to consolidate all available services into one front door so that we can actually provide the ultimate patient experience. And again, patient experience, what we're talking about, it's whether they have access to the primary care clinic, life journey, our DCBT, and our soon coming wellness and coaching support solution, where members will have the ability to connect to IoT and wearables. They will be able to allow activity tracking, goal setting, setting up challenges, whether they are personal challenge or company-wide challenges, and if they want to invite members of their families to participate with them, following health risk assessment with some personalized advice and coaching tools. So these are all things that we're looking at, and we're very looking forward to integrate in our platform. But ultimately, having a one front door and kind of a one go-to place for our patient is what we're aiming for, and have everything connected within that one front door.
Thank you very much, Patricia. We do have another question in the chat. So hello, thank you very much for the presentation. I'm curious to know how this B2B offer will affect TELUS Health D2C offering, knowing that there are still Babylon, EQ Care, and Akira as separate entities.
Well, I can take that. So I think Akira and EQ Care are now together as TELUS Health Virtual Care. So I think that is kind of one, let's call it one platform and one vision that you just heard expressed. And the Babylon platform is the direct-to-consumer approach, and really, to some of the commentary also that Joe shared in the panel discussion, those models are really coming together, and in a certain respect, but also, are differentiated in another respect. And in the B2B sense, think about the kind of one door in strategy that Patricia described, as a way to access the full platform of innovations from prevention to resolution to chronic disease management and to disability management, and also connect the dots to paramedical and also life journey related services such as work-life services. Many of those service areas are not covered by the public system. And so in the direct-to-consumer model that leverages the public billing codes and takes a bit of a different tack, there is kind of that differentiating approach. And then also some of the communication strategies that Joe described that are critical to increasing utilization and return on investment and connecting the dots to the objective of claims management and claims cost reduction through better healthcare and journey management and outcomes management. Like those are software and innovation roadmap functionalities that are just separate from, in the B2B area to the direct to consumer. So all that to say that there are the needs for both. There are definitely, the complements of both, but there's certainly a differentiation. And, we at TELUS are, pursuing both of those innovation roadmaps and also making sure that we connect the dots in the right ways. As, I described one example, which is connecting through the EMR systems to enable continuity of care. There's many other examples, which we can certainly, have a follow-up discussion on where we can, have that differentiated approach, but also create that synergy between, the direct-to-consumer and the B2B models.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I think that we can go ahead and close today's session. So we hope that you've enjoyed the webinar and that you found the information valuable. If you have any questions or if you would like to get in touch, just email us at virtualhealthcare@telus.com, or you can also visit our website at telushealth.com/virtualcare. And on that note, I'd like to thank you all for your time today, and a special thanks to our speakers for sharing this presentation. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone.